The coffee was scalding. Maya felt it splash across her hand first. A sharp burn that made her gasp, before she watched in slow-motion horror as the entire cup arced through the air and landed across the chest of the most expensive-looking man she'd ever seen. Hello, beautiful souls. I see you, whether you're watching this because you've ever felt invisible, powerless, or one mistake away from losing everything. I'm so glad you're here. Before we begin, if stories about finding strength in your darkest moments speak to your heart, subscribe. You're safe here. The coffee shop fell silent. Maya stood frozen, paper cup still in her trembling hand, watching caramel macchiato drip from a charcoal suit that probably cost more than her rent. The man didn't flinch, didn't curse, didn't even look down at the spreading stain. He just looked at her. His eyes were the color of winter storms, gray and cold and completely unreadable. The kind of eyes that could strip you bare without saying a word. Maya felt her knees weaken under that stare, felt every whispered apology die in her throat. She started. Careful, he said quietly. One word. Not angry, not kind, just careful. Maya's phone buzzed in her pocket. Another call from the hospital billing department. Another reminder that her mother's treatment couldn't wait for Maya's next disaster. Your shirt? She whispered, finally finding her voice. I ruined your shirt. He pulled a white handkerchief from his pocket. Who carries handkerchiefs anymore? And dabbed at the stain with mechanical precision. Maya noticed his hands. Strong, steady, the kind of hands that never shook, never doubted, never spilled coffee on strangers. It's fine, he said, but it wasn't fine. Nothing about this was fine. Maya had been late to work 3 times this month. Her manager had made it clear that strike 4 meant unemployment, and unemployment meant no insurance, and no insurance meant watching her mother fade away in a hospital bed they couldn't afford. Please, she said, reaching for her wallet with hands that wouldn't stop shaking. Let me pay for dry cleaning. Or I could buy you a new one. I know it looks expensive, but... He held up one hand. Maya's mouth snapped shut. What's your name? The question caught her off guard. She blinked. Maya. Maya Sullivan. He studied her face like he was memorizing it. Something flickered in those winter storm eyes. Recognition? No, that was impossible. Maya would have remembered meeting someone like him. Men like him didn't exist in her world. Maya Sullivan, he repeated slowly. Then he did something that made her stomach drop. He smiled. It wasn't warm. It wasn't cruel. It was the kind of smile that meant he knew something she didn't. Interesting, he murmured. Before Maya could ask what was interesting, he turned and walked out of the coffee shop. She stood there, soaked sleeve dripping, watching him disappear into the morning crowd. Her phone buzzed again. This time it was a text from her new supervisor. First day orientation starts at 9 a.m. sharp. Conference room B. Don't be late. Maya checked the time. 8:47 a.m. She grabbed a handful of napkins and ran. Blackwood Industries towered over downtown like a glass and steel monument to power. Maya had walked past it 100 times, always craning her neck to see the top, always wondering what it would feel like to matter enough to work inside a building like that. Today, she was about to find out. The lobby was all marble floors and echoing footsteps. Maya's sneakers squeaked against the polished surface as she hurried toward the elevators, still smelling like coffee and desperation. The elevator doors opened. Maya stepped inside and pressed the button for the 15th floor. Hold that door. Maya lunged for the button. A woman in a sharp blazer slipped inside, breathing hard. Thanks. I'm Sarah from HR. You must be the new hire. Maya, right? That's me. Maya tried to smooth down her hair. Sorry, I look like I fell into a coffee shop. Sarah laughed. Rough morning. You could say that. Maya's stomach churned as the elevator climbed. Can I ask? What's he like? The CEO? Adrian Blackwood. Sarah's smile faded. You'll find out soon enough. Word of advice? Keep your head down and do exactly what you're told. He doesn't tolerate mistakes. The elevator dinged. 15th floor. Come on, Sarah said. Conference room B is this way. Maya followed her down a hallway lined with floor-to-ceiling windows. Through the glass, she could see the city sprawling below, a view that belonged to people who never worried about rent or hospital bills or disappointing their mothers. Sarah stopped at a set of double doors. Ready? Maya nodded even though she wasn't. The conference room was filled with mahogany and morning sunlight. A dozen new employees sat around an oval table, looking nervous and eager. Maya took the only empty seat, near the back. Sorry I'm late, she whispered to the woman next to her. You're not late, the woman whispered back. He's just early. The double doors opened. Maya's blood turned to ice. The man who walked into the conference room wore a fresh white shirt and a different tie, but those winterstorm eyes were exactly the same. Cold, unreadable, fixed directly on her face. Adrian Blackwood didn't look surprised to see her. He looked satisfied. Good morning, he said, his voice carrying easily through the silent room. Welcome to Blackwood Industries. Maya couldn't breathe, couldn't think, could only sit there as the man whose shirt she'd ruined 2 hours ago moved to the head of the table and smiled that same terrifying smile. Before we begin, Adrian Blackwood said, his eyes never leaving Maya's face, I'd like to address something important. Maya's hands gripped the edge of the table. Mistakes, he continued softly, have consequences. What had she just walked into? Maya had exactly $43 in her checking account and a mother who believed she was going to make it. How was your first day, sweetheart? Maya adjusted her phone against her ear as she climbed the stairs to her studio apartment. The elevator in her building had been broken for 6 months, but the landlord kept promising it would be fixed next week. It was intense, Maya said, fishing for her keys. Through the phone, she could hear the steady beep of hospital monitors. Her mother's voice was weaker than it had been last month, but she still managed to sound proud. I knew you'd impress them. My brilliant daughter, working at Blackwood Industries. Maya's throat tightened. Mom, how are you feeling? Did Dr. Martinez say anything about? Don't you worry about me. I want to hear everything. Tell me about your boss. Maya closed her eyes. The image of Adrian Blackwood's cold smile flashed through her mind. He's complicated. The good ones usually are. Maya unlocked her apartment door and stepped into the tiny space she called home. One room, a Murphy bed, a kitchen that was really just a refrigerator and a hot plate. But it was hers, and more importantly, it was 12 minutes from the hospital. She'd moved here 2 years ago when the doctors first said the word cancer. Before that, Maya had been saving for graduate school, dreaming of becoming a teacher like her mother. But dreams were expensive, and cancer was more expensive. Maya, you still there? I'm here, Mom. Promise me something. Maya sat on the edge of her bed. Anything. Don't let anyone make you feel small. You belong in that building just as much as anyone else. If only it were that simple. After they hung up, Maya stared at the stack of bills on her makeshift desk. Hospital bills, credit card statements, the final notice from her landlord that somehow felt heavier than all the rest. She pulled out her laptop and opened her email. Sitting at the top of her inbox was a message from Adrian Blackwood himself. Subject: Assignment. Ms. Sullivan, report to my office tomorrow at 6 a.m. You'll be working directly with me for the remainder of your trial period. Don't be late. Maya read it 3 times. Working directly with the CEO wasn't an honor, it was a death sentence. Everyone knew that Adrian Blackwood didn't mentor new employees. He eliminated them. Her phone rang. Unknown number. Hello? Maya Sullivan? Yes. This is Presbyterian Hospital Billing Department. We've been trying to reach you about your account. Your mother's treatment plan requires immediate payment, or we'll need to discuss alternative arrangements. Maya's hands went cold. Alternative arrangements? Transfer to a county facility. The level of care would be different. How much? The outstanding balance is $18,400. Maya closed her eyes. Might as well be 18 million. I need more time. I'm sorry, Miss Sullivan. We've extended your payment plan twice already. We need payment by Friday, or we'll have to move forward with the transfer. Friday was 4 days away. Please, Maya whispered. She's all I have. I understand this is difficult, but Maya hung up. She sat in the dark of her apartment, surrounded by bills she couldn't pay and a future that felt like quicksand. But she'd survived worse than Adrian Blackwood. She'd survived watching her mother collapse during a parent-teacher conference. She'd survived dropping out of college with 6 credits left. She'd survived working 3 jobs just to afford the cheap insurance that covered almost nothing. She could survive this too. Maya set her alarm for 5 a.m. She was going to prove that poor girls from broken families could be just as ruthless as billionaire CEOs. She just didn't know what that determination would cost her. Adrian Blackwood's office was on the 40th floor. Maya had never been this high up in a building before. Through the floor-to-ceiling windows, the city looked like a miniature model, cars like toy pieces, people like scattered dots. From up here, problems looked small. You're 3 minutes early. Maya spun around. Adrian stood in the doorway, perfectly pressed and completely intimidating. He moved into his office like he owned the air itself. I don't like waiting, he said, settling behind a desk that was bigger than Maya's entire apartment. I don't like being late. Something flickered across his face. Surprise, maybe. Interesting. There was that word again. Maya was starting to hate it. Sit. Maya chose the chair across from his desk. The leather was butter-soft and probably worth more than her car. Adrian opened a file folder. Maya Elizabeth Sullivan, 26 years old. Business degree from State University, incomplete. Previous employment: Rosario's Diner, Turner's Grocery, Clearview Elementary School substitute teacher. He looked up. Quite a resume. Heat crawled up Maya's neck. I work hard. I'm sure you do. His voice was silk wrapped around steel. Tell me, Maya, what happened at the university? Why didn't you finish? The question hit her like a punch to the chest. Because my mother got sick and someone had to choose between her dreams and her mother's life, and it wasn't really a choice at all. Personal reasons. How personal? Maya lifted her chin. Private reasons. Adrian leaned back in his chair. Privacy is a luxury, Ms. Sullivan. In this office, I know everything about my employees. Their strengths, their weaknesses, their vulnerabilities. The way he said the word made Maya's skin crawl. What do you want from me? Excellence. He slid a stack of papers across the desk. This is the Morrison account, our biggest client. They're considering pulling their contract, $100 million loss if they walk. Maya's eyes widened despite herself. Your job is to save it. I what? I've been here 1 day. I don't know anything about. You have 72 hours. Maya stared at him. That's impossible. Nothing is impossible, Miss Sullivan. Some things are just more expensive than others. He stood and walked to the window, hands clasped behind his back. The Morrison family has been with Blackwood Industries for 15 years. Richard Morrison's daughter just got engaged. Find out what she wants for her wedding. Make it happen. Make them so grateful they'll never consider leaving us. Sir, I don't have experience with. Then you'll learn. He turned to face her, and for a moment, something almost human flickered in his eyes. Unless, of course, you'd prefer to quit now. I'm sure the hospital would understand. Maya's blood turned to ice. What did you just say? I know about your mother, Maya. Catherine Sullivan. Stage 3 ovarian cancer. Currently at Presbyterian Hospital under Dr. Martinez's care. The words hit her like physical blows. Maya gripped the arms of her chair so hard her knuckles went white. How do you? I know everything. His voice was quiet, almost gentle, and somehow that made it worse. I know about the bills, the payment plans, the transfer deadline. Maya couldn't breathe, couldn't think, could only stare at this man who somehow knew her most desperate secrets. Friday, Adrian continued conversationally. Isn't that when they move her to county care? You bastard. The word slipped out before Maya could stop it. Adrian raised an eyebrow. Careful, Ms. Sullivan. Maya stood on shaking legs. What do you want? I already told you. Save the Morrison account. And if I don't? Adrian moved closer. Close enough that Maya could smell his cologne. Something expensive and cold. Close enough that she had to tilt her head back to meet his eyes. Then you're fired, he said softly. And I make some phone calls. Suddenly, no hospital in the city will take your mother's insurance. No employer in town will hire you. You'll disappear, Maya. Both of you. Maya felt tears burn behind her eyes, but she refused to let them fall. Not in front of him. Why? She whispered. What did I ever do to you? For a moment, just a moment, his mask slipped. Maya saw something raw and wounded flash across his face. Something that looked almost like recognition. You really don't remember, do you? Remember what? But Adrian had already turned away, the moment broken. 72 hours, Ms. Sullivan. I suggest you start making phone calls. Maya walked to the door on unsteady legs. Her hand was on the handle when Adrian spoke again. Maya. She didn't turn around. For what it's worth, he said quietly. I hope you succeed. Something in his voice made her look back. Adrian stood silhouetted against the window, and for a split second, he didn't look like a ruthless CEO. He looked like a man carrying a weight that might crush him. Then the moment passed, and Maya fled. She had 72 hours to save her mother's life. She had no idea she was about to discover the truth that would change everything. Maya spent the next 18 hours becoming an expert on the Morrison family. Richard Morrison, self-made millionaire, owned a chain of luxury hotels across the East Coast. Widowed 5 years ago, overprotective of his only daughter. Jessica Morrison, 28, graduate degree in art history, engaged to a surgeon named David Chen. Known for her charity work and her impossibly high standards. The wedding was in 6 months. The budget was unlimited. And Jessica Morrison, according to every society blog Maya could find, was notoriously difficult to please. Maya sat in the hospital cafeteria at 2 a.m., laptop glowing in the fluorescent light, surrounded by empty coffee cups and her mother's medical charts. She'd managed to sneak up to the oncology ward during visiting hours, but her mother had been sleeping. Even in sleep, Catherine Sullivan looked fragile. The cancer had stolen 20 pounds and most of her hair, but it hadn't touched the smile lines around her eyes. Those were Maya's favorite feature, proof that her mother had spent most of her life laughing. Maya was going to make sure she got the chance to laugh again. Her phone buzzed. Text message from an unknown number. Working late, Maya's blood chilled. Only one person had this number besides her mother and the hospital. She typed back. How did you get this number? I get what I want, Maya. Always. Maya's hands shook as she typed. What do you want? Progress report. What have you learned? Maya looked around the empty cafeteria. She was alone except for a janitor mopping floors in the far corner. Jessica Morrison wants something money can't buy. Elaborate. Maya pulled up the article she'd bookmarked. Society page from 3 months ago. Jessica Morrison at a charity gala, looking stunning and completely miserable. She lost her mother when she was 16. Car accident. Every interview mentions how much she misses her. Maya's fingers hesitated over the keyboard. What she was about to suggest felt wrong on about 50 different levels. She wants her mother at her wedding. Obviously impossible. But maybe we could find a way to honor her memory. Something personal. Something that makes her feel like her mother is there. 3 dots appeared. Disappeared. Appeared again. Interesting approach. Will it work? Depends on how well you know loss. The words hit Maya like a slap. She stared at the screen until tears blurred her vision. I know it better than anyone. This time, Adrian's response was immediate. Good. Use it. Maya set her phone down with shaking hands. The janitor had moved closer, an elderly man with kind eyes and tired shoulders. He looked like someone who understood loss. You okay, honey? He asked. Maya wiped her eyes. Just a long day. Those are the worst kind. But they end eventually. Do they? He smiled. The day ends. The pain, well, that's trickier. But it changes. Becomes something you can carry instead of something that carries you away. Maya nodded, not trusting her voice. Whatever you're fighting for, he said gently. I hope you win. After he left, Maya sat alone in the artificial light and made a decision that would haunt her for months. She was going to give Jessica Morrison the one thing money couldn't buy. She was going to give her hope. The Morrison Hotel's executive offices were nothing like Blackwood Industries. Where Adrian's building was all sharp edges and intimidation, the Morrison building felt warm. Understated elegance. Family photos on the walls. Maya had spent the morning researching Catherine Morrison, Jessica's mother. Teacher. Volunteer. Lover of old movies and handwritten letters. A woman who'd left behind a daughter who still couldn't talk about her without crying. Ms. Sullivan? Maya looked up. Richard Morrison stood in the doorway of his office. A man in his 50s with salt and pepper hair and Jessica's eyes. Thank you for seeing me on such short notice, Maya said. When someone says they have an idea for my daughter's wedding that money can't buy, I listen. Richard Morrison's handshake was firm, his smile genuine. Please sit. Tell me what you have in mind. Maya had practiced this pitch a dozen times. But sitting across from Richard Morrison, seeing the photos of his late wife scattered across his desk, she realized she couldn't use Jessica's grief as a business tool. She had to tell the truth. My mother is dying, Maya said quietly. Richard Morrison's face softened. I'm sorry. She has cancer. Stage 3. And every day, I watch her fight not just the disease, but the fear that she'll miss the moments that matter. My graduation, my wedding, my children's first steps. Maya's voice cracked. Your daughter lost her mother 16 years ago, but she still talks about wanting her at the wedding. In every interview, every article, she mentions wishing her mother could be there. What are you suggesting? Maya pulled a folder from her bag. Your wife loved old movies. Casablanca was her favorite. She collected vintage handkerchiefs, had over 100 of them. She wrote letters to Jessica every birthday until she died. Richard Morrison's breathing had gone quiet. I'm suggesting we create a moment, Maya continued. Something that makes Jessica feel like her mother is there. Not a memorial, a presence. Real enough to touch. How? Maya opened the folder. Inside were photographs, handwriting samples, and a sketch of what she had in mind. A handkerchief sewn into her wedding dress. Her mother's handwriting embroidered along the hem. Something from one of those letters. And during the ceremony, when Jessica needs her mother most, Maya pulled out the final piece. A recording. Your wife singing Jessica's favorite lullaby. Played so softly only Jessica can hear it. Richard Morrison stared at the papers in his hands. His eyes were suspiciously bright. Where would you get a recording? Hospital chaplain mentioned that your wife volunteered in the children's ward. They recorded her singing to the kids. The hospital still has the tapes. For a long moment, Richard Morrison said nothing. Then he looked up at Maya with something like awe. This isn't about business, is it? Maya shook her head. It's about love. And the promises we make to the people who can't stay. Richard Morrison stood and walked to his window. Why are you telling me this? You could have pitched something simpler, easier. Because Jessica deserves to feel her mother's love on the most important day of her life. And because Maya's voice broke. Because my mother taught me that love doesn't end when someone leaves. It just changes shape. Richard Morrison turned back to her. There were tears on his cheeks. The Morrison account stays with Blackwood Industries, he said quietly. Forever. Maya felt relief crash over her like a wave. Thank you. No, Ms. Sullivan. Thank you. Maya was halfway to the elevator when Richard Morrison called her name. Maya. She turned. Your boss is a lucky man to have someone like you working for him. Maya thought about Adrian Blackwood's cold smile. His threats. The way he'd held her mother's life hostage to get what he wanted. I don't think he sees it that way, she said. Richard Morrison tilted his head. Maybe he doesn't know how to. Maya's phone rang as she stepped off the elevator at Blackwood Industries. Maya. Her mother's voice was thin but excited. I have the most wonderful news. What is it, Mom? Dr. Martinez called. Someone made an anonymous donation to cover my treatment. Everything, sweetheart. The surgery, the chemotherapy, the hospital bills, all of it. Maya stopped walking. What? Isn't it wonderful? It's like a miracle. Maya's legs felt weak. Mom, did they say who? No, honey. They said the donor wanted to remain anonymous. But Maya, this means I can fight this properly. We don't have to worry about money anymore. Maya closed her eyes. Relief and confusion warred in her chest. I love you, Mom. I love you too, sweetheart. Now go celebrate. You saved the Morrison account, didn't you? I can hear it in your voice. After they hung up, Maya stood in the lobby of Blackwood Industries, trying to make sense of what had just happened. The timing was too perfect to be coincidental. Someone had paid her mother's bills. Someone who knew exactly how much Maya needed this miracle. Her phone buzzed. Text message. Conference room B. Now. Maya took the elevator to the 15th floor on shaking legs. Conference room B was empty except for Adrian Blackwood, standing at the window with his back to the door. You did well, he said without turning around. Did you? Maya's voice caught. My mother's bills. Was that you? Richard Morrison is impressed. He's recommending us to 3 other hotel chains. Answer me. Adrian turned to face her. For once, his expression was unguarded. Maya saw exhaustion in the lines around his eyes. Something that looked almost like regret. Your mother will receive the best care available, he said quietly. You have my word. Why? Because you earned it. Maya stared at him. No, this isn't about earning anything. You could have fired me. You could have destroyed my life. Instead, you saved my mother. Why? Adrian walked closer. Close enough that Maya could see gold flecks in his gray eyes. Close enough to notice that his hands were trembling. Because 16 years ago, he said softly, I made a promise to someone I cared about. Promise I broke. And today, for the first time, I found a way to keep it. Maya's heart stopped. What are you talking about? But Adrian had already turned away. Go home, Maya. Rest. Tomorrow we start the Morrison wedding project. Adrian, wait. That's Mr. Blackwood to you. The words were sharp, professional. But Maya had seen his face in that unguarded moment. She'd seen pain that looked exactly like her own. As she walked to the elevator, one thought echoed in her mind. 16 years ago. She'd been 10 years old 16 years ago, living in foster care after her father died, moving from house to house until the Sullivans adopted her. But there had been one house, one family, one boy with gray eyes who'd promised he'd find her. Maya's hand shook as she pressed the elevator button. Couldn't be. Could it? Maya couldn't sleep. She sat on her fire escape at 3 a.m., staring at the city lights and trying to piece together fragments of a memory that felt like smoke. A boy with gray eyes. Promise whispered in the dark. I'll find you. No matter what happens, I'll find you. Her phone buzzed. Text message from Adrian. Can't sleep either? Maya's heart hammered against her ribs. She typed back. How did you know? Because I've been awake for 16 years. The words hit her like lightning. Maya's hands shook as she typed. East Side Children's Home. 2008. Her phone rang immediately. Maya. Adrian's voice was rough, raw. Don't hang up. Please. It's you. The words came out broken. It's really you. Yes. Maya closed her eyes. The memories came flooding back now. Not smoke anymore, but crystal clear. A 13-year-old boy with eyes too old for his face. A boy who'd protected her from the older kids. Who'd read to her when she had nightmares. Who'd held her hand the day they told her the Sullivans wanted to adopt her. You said you'd find me, she whispered. I tried. God, Maya, I tried for years. But you were adopted. Your name changed. You disappeared. Why didn't you tell me? When I walked into that conference room, you knew exactly who I was. Silence stretched between them. Maya could hear Adrian breathing. Quick. Unsteady. Because I was afraid, he said finally. Of what? Of this. Of you looking at me and seeing the scared kid who couldn't protect you when it mattered. Maya laughed, but it came out like a sob. You think I needed protecting? You were 10 years old and you cried every night for a month after your father died. You used to hide under the bed during thunderstorms. You were so small, Maya. So breakable. I'm not breakable anymore. I know. I watched you save the Morrison account. I watched you fight for your mother. You became exactly who I always knew you could be. Maya wiped tears from her cheeks. Then why? Why were you so cruel to me? The threats, the impossible deadlines. Because I needed to know. Know what? Adrian's voice dropped to a whisper. If you were still the girl who never gave up. Even when everything was against her. The pieces clicked into place. The coffee shop. Adrian hadn't been surprised when she'd spilled coffee on him. He'd recognized her immediately. The job at Blackwood Industries. The impossible assignment. You hired me, Maya said slowly. This wasn't random. You specifically hired me. Yes. The Morrison account. You knew I'd find a way to save it. I hoped. Maya stood up so fast she nearly lost her balance. You manipulated everything. My job, the deadline, threatening my mother. Maya, wait. You put my mother's life at risk for some twisted test? No. The word exploded from Adrian's phone. I paid her bills the day you walked into my office. Every single one. The hospital was never going to transfer her. Maya froze. What? The anonymous donation? That was me. Before you even started working. Your mother was safe from day one. Then why? Because I needed you to fight. Adrian's voice cracked. I needed to see if you still had that fire. That refusal to quit. Because the girl I knew 16 years ago, she was the strongest person I'd ever met. And I needed to know if that girl still existed. Maya sank back down onto the fire escape. Her whole world had shifted sideways. You could have just told me who you were. And then what? You would have felt sorry for the foster kid who made good? Taken pity on me? I would have been happy. The words came out fierce, angry. I would have been so damn happy to see you again. Silence. Adrian. I'm here. Where are you right now? My office. I'm coming up. Maya. It's 3 a.m. I don't care. Maya was already climbing back through her window, already grabbing her keys. I'll be right there. The Blackwood Industries lobby was eerily quiet at 3 a.m. Maya's footsteps echoed off the marble as she crossed to the elevator. The security guard waved her through without question. Apparently Adrian had called ahead. The elevator ride to the 40th floor felt eternal. Adrian was standing at his window when Maya walked into his office. He'd loosened his tie, rolled up his sleeves. For the first time since she'd known him, he looked human. "You came," he said without turning around. "Did you think I wouldn't?" "I wasn't sure." Adrian turned to face her. "After everything I put you through." "Stop." Maya crossed the room until she was standing in front of him. "Look at me." Adrian's eyes met hers. Maya saw the boy she'd known 16 years ago. Frightened, fierce, trying so hard to be strong enough for both of them. "Do you remember what you used to tell me?" she asked softly. "When I had nightmares?" Something flickered in Adrian's expression. "Storms don't last forever. And the sun always comes back." Maya smiled through her tears. "The sun came back, Adrian. We both made it." "Did we?" His voice was barely a whisper. "Look at what I've become. Look at what I did to you. You saved my mother's life. After I threatened it. You gave me a job when I needed it most. After I made it hell." Maya reached up and touched his face. Adrian went completely still. "You kept your promise," she said. "You said you'd find me. And you did." "Maya, I looked for you too. Every foster home, every new school. I asked about a boy named Adrian. A boy with gray eyes who read Harry Potter out loud and made shadow puppets on the wall." Adrian's breathing had gone unsteady. "You remembered." "I remembered everything. Your laugh. The way you used to sneak me extra cookies from the kitchen. How you'd let me sleep in your room during thunderstorms even though it was against the rules. You were so brave," Adrian whispered. "Even when you were terrified, you were brave. I learned it from you." Something broke in Adrian's expression. He pulled Maya into his arms like she was the only thing keeping him anchored to the earth. "I'm sorry," he whispered against her hair. "I'm so sorry for everything. The threats, the games, the way I—" "Shoo!" Maya held him tighter. "We found each other. That's all that matters." They stood like that for a long time, two people who'd been lost finally coming home. When they finally broke apart, Adrian's eyes were red-rimmed but clear. "What happens now?" he asked. Maya smiled. "Now we plan a wedding. Just like that. Just like that." Maya touched his face again. "But no more games, Adrian. No more tests. If we're doing this, if we're rebuilding whatever this is between us, we do it honestly. Deal." Adrian covered her hand with his. "For what it's worth, you passed every test I could have given you. With flying colors." "Good. Because I was never very good at failing." Adrian laughed. Really laughed. For the first time since she'd known him. "No," he said softly. "You never were." Outside the window, the city was starting to wake up. Maya could see the horizon beginning to lighten with the promise of dawn. "Storms don't last forever," she whispered. "And the sun always comes back," Adrian finished. They were going to be okay. Maya was sure of it. Maya should have known it was too good to last. The Morrison wedding was 3 weeks away when everything fell apart. Maya was in her office, her actual office now with a window and everything, reviewing the final details for Jessica's surprise when her computer chimed. Email from an unknown address. Subject: interesting reading. Maya opened the attachment and felt her blood turn to ice. It was a series of photographs. Adrian as a teenager, being led away from Eastside Children's Home in handcuffs. A police report, a newspaper clipping with the headline, "Foster teen arrested in theft of $50,000. Maya's hands shook as she read the article. Adrian Blackwood, 16, was arrested yesterday in connection with the theft of $50,000 from the Eastside Children's Home Charitable Fund. According to police, Blackwood gained access to the director's office computer and transferred the money to an offshore account. There was more. Details about how Adrian had been tried as a juvenile, sentenced to 2 years in a detention facility. How he'd been released at 18 with a sealed record. Maya's phone buzzed. Text from the same unknown number. Cute reunion. Too bad your precious Adrian forgot to mention he's a convicted thief. What else is he hiding? Maya stared at the screen until the words blurred. Her mind reeled, trying to process what she was seeing. Adrian had been arrested 3 years after she'd been adopted. 3 years after he'd promised to find her. While she'd been learning to trust the Sullivans, he'd been in juvenile detention. Her office door opened. Adrian walked in with coffee and a smile that made her chest ache. Thought you might need caffeine. The Morrison meeting is in an hour and... He stopped when he saw her face. What's wrong? Maya turned her laptop screen toward him. Adrian went white. Maya, is it true? Her voice came out steadier than she felt. Adrian closed the door and moved toward her desk. Where did you get this? Answer the question. Did you steal $50,000 from the children's home? Yes. The word came out flat. Final. Maya felt something crack inside her chest. Why? Adrian sat heavily in the chair across from her desk. For a moment, he looked exactly like the scared 16-year-old boy in the police photo. Because they were going to shut down the home, he said quietly. Budget cuts. The state was pulling funding and the director was embezzling what little money was left. So you decided to steal? I decided to expose him. Adrian's voice was bitter. I had evidence. Financial records showing where the money was really going. But I needed time to compile everything. And I needed to make sure the younger kids would be safe. Maya stared at him. What are you saying? I moved the money to a protected account. I was going to return it once I had everything I needed to prove what the director was doing. But he discovered the transfer before I could finish gathering evidence. And you went to jail instead of him? He had lawyers. I had a public defender who told me to take the plea deal. Maya closed her eyes. Why didn't you tell me this? Because I knew you'd look at me exactly the way you're looking at me now. How am I looking at you? Like I'm still that scared kid who made all the wrong choices. Maya opened her eyes. Adrian's face was carefully blank, but she could see the pain underneath. What happened to the director? He was arrested 6 months later. Someone else found the evidence I'd been compiling. But by then, I was already in detention and the home had been shut down. And the kids? Scattered to other facilities. Some were adopted. Others. Adrian shrugged. The system isn't kind to older kids. Maya felt tears burn behind her eyes. You were trying to protect them. I was 16 and stupid and I thought I could save everyone. Adrian. Maya's phone rang. She glanced at the screen and her stomach dropped. Richard Morrison. I have to take this. She answered the call. Mr. Morrison? Maya. Richard Morrison's voice was cold as winter. We need to talk. My office. Now. The line went dead. Maya looked up at Adrian. His face had gone gray. He knows, Adrian said quietly. How? The same way you found out. Someone sent him the files. Maya's mind raced. Who would? It doesn't matter. Adrian stood. The Morrison account is gone. Your job is probably gone too. I'm sorry, Maya. I'm so fucking sorry. We can explain. Explain what? That the CEO of Blackwood Industries is a convicted felon? That I lied by omission to every client we've ever had. Maya stood too. You were a child. You were trying to help. I was a thief. The words came out like broken glass. And now you're going to pay the price for trusting me. Adrian was already walking toward the door. Where are you going? To do what I should have done 16 years ago. Which is? Adrian turned back to her. Maya saw resignation in his eyes. Defeat. Disappear. Adrian, no. But he was already gone. Maya sat alone in her office, staring at the photos on her computer screen. Outside, storm clouds were gathering, the first real storm in weeks. Her phone buzzed. Text message. 1 hour until the Morrison meeting. Hope you have a good explanation. Another text, different number. Some people never change. Ask yourself, what else has he lied about? Maya deleted both messages and called her mother. Hello, sweetheart. Mom. Maya's voice broke on the word. I think I made a terrible mistake. What happened? Maya told her everything. The reunion with Adrian. The revelation about their past. The photos. The Morrison meeting. When she finished, Catherine Sullivan was quiet for a long moment. Do you love him? She asked finally. The question caught Maya off guard. What? It's not complicated, honey. Do you love him? Maya closed her eyes. I think I've loved him since I was 10 years old. Then fight for him. Mom, you don't understand. He's been lying. Has he? Catherine's voice was gentle but firm. Or has he been protecting you from a truth he thought would drive you away? Maya wiped tears from her cheeks. What's the difference? The difference is intent, sweetheart. Fear makes people do stupid things. But love makes people do brave things. Even when those brave things look foolish to everyone else. Thunder rumbled outside Maya's window. The storm's starting, Maya whispered. Then you'd better find shelter. After they hung up, Maya sat in the growing darkness and made a choice. She wasn't going to let Adrian disappear again. Not this time. Storm or no storm, she was going to fight. The Morrison Hotel lobby was buzzing with activity when Maya arrived. Wedding vendors setting up displays. Flowers being arranged. The kind of organized chaos that meant something important was about to begin. Maya took the elevator to Richard Morrison's office with her heart hammering against her ribs. Richard Morrison was waiting for her, along with Jessica Morrison and a man Maya didn't recognize. Expensive suit, calculating eyes. Lawyer, probably. Ms. Sullivan. Richard Morrison's voice was ice. Please sit. Maya chose the chair facing all three of them. Mr. Morrison, I know why you called this meeting. Do you? Richard Morrison slid a manila folder across the desk. Because I'm not sure you understand the full scope of what we're dealing with here. Maya opened the folder. More photos. More police reports. But these weren't about Adrian. They were about her. Maya Elizabeth Sullivan. The lawyer read from a document. Arrested at age 15 for shoplifting. Charges dropped due to her status as a minor. But the incident remains on her juvenile record. Maya's blood went cold. How did you? The same anonymous tip that exposed your boss's criminal history also provided us with some interesting details about your own past. Jessica Morrison spoke for the first time. Is it true? Did you steal from a store? Maya's throat felt like sandpaper. It was complicated. Theft is theft, Ms. Sullivan. I stole baby formula. The words came out quiet but clear. And diapers. For a baby at the foster home where I was staying. The parents were addicts and the baby was starving. The room went silent. I got caught. I was 15 and terrified, and I begged them not to call the police because I knew they'd separate me from the baby. But they called anyway. Maya's voice strengthened. The charges were dropped when social services investigated and found that the baby was malnourished. The foster parents lost their license. The baby was placed somewhere safe. Richard Morrison was staring at her. You stole to feed a baby. I stole to save a baby. Just like Adrian stole to save the children's home. Maya leaned forward. Mr. Morrison, someone is trying to destroy us. Both of us. Someone who knows exactly which buttons to push to make us look guilty. Who would do that? I don't know. But I know this. Adrian Blackwood is the most honest man I've ever met. He's also the most damaged. He spent 16 years believing he failed everyone who ever mattered to him. Including me. Maya stood. You want to cancel the wedding project? Fine. Fire me? Fine. But don't you dare judge him for choices he made as a scared 16-year-old trying to protect people who couldn't protect themselves. Richard Morrison exchanged a look with his daughter. Sit down, Maya. Mr. Morrison. Sit. Down. Maya sat. The wedding is still happening, Richard Morrison said quietly. Maya blinked. What? My wife was a teacher, Jessica Morrison said. She always said you could judge a person's character by how they treated children. You both risked everything to protect kids who had no one else. The lawyer cleared his throat. Sir, I must advise. Your advice is noted and rejected, Richard Morrison said firmly. He looked at Maya. Where's Blackwood now? I don't know. He said he was going to disappear. Well, find him. The Morrison account isn't going anywhere. And neither are you. Maya felt tears of relief burn her eyes. Thank you. Don't thank me yet. There's still the question of who sent those files. Someone wanted to destroy your relationship with us. We need to find out who. And when we do, Richard Morrison's smile was sharp as winter. Then we return the favor. Maya found Adrian on the roof of Blackwood Industries. He was standing at the edge, not in danger, just staring out at the city spread below. The storm had passed, leaving the air clean and electric. I figured you'd come here, Maya said quietly. Adrian didn't turn around. Morrison called, said the account was safe. How did you manage that miracle? I told the truth. About what? About us. About who we really are. Maya moved to stand beside him. About what we've survived. And he believed you? He understood. Turns out some people can tell the difference between criminals and heroes. Adrian laughed, but it came out broken. I'm not a hero, Maya. Neither am I. But we're not villains either. They stood in silence for a moment, watching the city lights twinkle below. I got a call from my lawyer, Adrian said finally. He traced the source of the leaked files. Maya's pulse quickened. Who was it? Marcus Brennan, my former business partner. Maya frowned. I don't understand. 3 years ago, Marcus and I were partners, equal shares in Blackwood Industries. But Marcus had a problem with creative accounting. When I found evidence that he was embezzling from our clients, I gave him a choice. Resign quietly or face criminal charges. He chose to resign? He chose to resign, but apparently he's been planning his revenge ever since. Hiring private investigators, building a file on both of us, waiting for the perfect moment to destroy everything I'd built. Why now? Adrian finally turned to look at her. Because he found out about you, about us. He knew that losing you would hurt me more than losing any business account. Maya felt something cold settle in her stomach. He's been watching us. For months. Probably since the day you started working here. Adrian, I should have seen it coming. Should have protected you better. Maya grabbed his arm. Stop. Stop blaming yourself for everything that goes wrong in the world. But, no buts. Marcus Brennan made his choice. You made yours. And I'm making mine. Which is? Maya smiled. To trust you. To fight for us. To stop letting the past define our future. Adrian searched her face. Even knowing everything you know now? Especially knowing everything I know now. Thunder rumbled in the distance. A new storm building. But this time Maya wasn't afraid. Come on, she said, taking Adrian's hand. We have a wedding to plan. Maya. The sun came back, Adrian. Just like you promised it would. Adrian squeezed her hand. So it did. They walked back into the building together, ready to face whatever came next. Together. The Morrison wedding was everything dreams were made of. Maya stood at the back of the cathedral, watching Jessica Morrison walk down the aisle in a dress that held her mother's love in every stitch. The handkerchief was there, sewn into the bodice with Catherine Morrison's handwriting embroidered along the hem in thread so fine it looked like starlight. She's beautiful, Adrian whispered beside her. Maya nodded, unable to speak around the emotion clogging her throat. In 3 hours of preparation, She'd watched Jessica transform from nervous bride to radiant woman. The moment Jessica had felt the hidden handkerchief against her heart, she'd started crying. "I can feel her," Jessica had whispered. "I can feel my mom." Now, as Jessica reached the altar, Maya could see Richard Morrison wiping tears from his eyes. David Chun looked like a man who knew he was about to marry the most extraordinary woman in the world. And somewhere in the cathedral's sound system, too quiet for anyone but Jessica to hear, Catherine Morrison's voice began to sing the lullaby she'd sung her daughter every night for 16 years. Maya felt Adrian's hand find hers. "We did this," he murmured. "We gave her this moment. We did." Maya's phone vibrated against her hip. Text message. She started to ignore it. Nothing was going to ruin this perfect moment. But something made her look. "Enjoying the show? Hope you're ready for the grand finale. MB." Maya's blood turned to ice. She showed Adrian the message. His face went hard. "He's here. In the cathedral?" "Maya." Adrian's voice was deadly quiet. "Look at the altar." Maya looked. First, she didn't see anything wrong. Jessica and David were exchanging vows. The officiant was smiling. Richard Morrison was crying happy tears. Then she saw him, a man in an expensive suit standing near the side exit. Silver hair, cold smile. A phone in his hand pointed directly at the altar. Marcus Brennan. And he was recording everything. "He's going to release it," Adrian said. "The whole ceremony. He'll twist it somehow, make it look like we manipulated a grieving family for profit." Maya's mind raced. The mother's recording. If he gets audio of Catherine Morrison's voice, he'll claim we exploited a dead woman's memory. Maya felt sick. Everything beautiful about this moment would be destroyed. Jessica's perfect day would become a viral scandal. The Morrison family would be humiliated, and it would all be their fault. "We have to stop him," Maya whispered. "How?" "If we make a scene, we'll ruin the ceremony ourselves." Maya watched Marcus Brennan adjust his phone angle. He was going to get the whole thing. Jessica's tears when she heard her mother's voice. The moment of pure joy when she realized what Maya and Adrian had done. He was going to turn their gift into a weapon. "No," Maya said quietly. "He's not." "Maya." But Maya was already moving. She walked up the side aisle of the cathedral, trying to look like she belonged there. Just another wedding vendor checking on details. Marcus Brennan didn't notice her until she was 3 feet away. "Mr. Brennan," she said quietly. "Beautiful ceremony, isn't it?" Marcus turned, and Maya saw genuine surprise flash across his face. Up close, he looked older than she'd expected. Bitter. Like a man who'd spent 3 years feeding on his own rage. "Ms. Sullivan. How delightful. I'm going to need you to stop recording." Marcus smiled. "I don't think so. Then I'm going to need you to leave." "Or what? You'll call security?" Marcus's smile widened. "I'm an invited guest." Maya felt rather than saw Adrian moving up behind Marcus. But she held up one hand. She could handle this. "You're right," Maya said. "You are invited. Jessica specifically asked me to invite you." Marcus blinked. "What?" "Jessica Morrison. The bride. She knows exactly who you are, Mr. Brennan. And she wanted you here." "That's impossible." "Is it?" Maya pulled out her phone. "Should I call her over? Let her explain how she feels about men who try to destroy other people's happiness." Marcus's confident smile was starting to crack. "You're lying." "Am I?" Maya stepped closer. "See, here's the thing about the Morrison family. They value loyalty. They value people who protect the ones they love. And when they find out someone is threatening their friends," Maya let the sentence hang in the air. "They don't forget," she finished softly. "Ever." At the altar, Jessica was reciting her vows. Her voice carried through the cathedral, strong and clear and full of love. "I promise to fight for us," Jessica said. In the good times and the bad. When the world tries to tear us down, I promise to build us back up. Marcus looked from Maya to Adrian to the ceremony happening behind them. You can't prove anything, he said, but his voice lacked conviction. Can't I? Adrian spoke for the first time. See, Marcus, you made a mistake. You assumed we were still the same people you could manipulate 3 years ago. But we've learned a few things since then, Maya continued. Like how to trace anonymous tips back to their source. Like how to document harassment. Like how to build cases that stick. Marcus's face had gone pale. You have nothing. We have everything. Adrian pulled out his phone. Every email. Every anonymous tip. Every private investigator you hired. Your lawyer didn't tell you about digital footprints, did he? Even if that's true, it doesn't matter. I'll still release this footage. I'll still destroy your reputation. Maya smiled. No, you won't. Why not? Because Richard Morrison owns half the media outlets in this city. And Jessica Morrison sits on the board of the other half. If you release that footage, you won't just be fighting us anymore. Maya leaned closer. You'll be fighting them. For the first time since he'd entered the cathedral, Marcus Brennan looked genuinely afraid. What do you want? He asked quietly. Delete the footage, Adrian said. Walk away. Never contact us again. And if I don't? Then we'll let the Morrison family handle this their way, Maya said. And trust me, they're much less forgiving than we are. At the altar, the officiant was pronouncing Jessica and David husband and wife. As they kissed, Catherine Morrison's lullaby swelled just loud enough for Jessica to hear. Maya watched the bride's face light up with pure joy. Marcus watched too. And for a moment, something human flickered across his expression. She really can hear her mother, can't she? He said quietly. Yes, Maya said. She can. Marcus stared at the altar for a long moment. Then he deleted the video from his phone. I lost someone too, he said suddenly. My daughter. Car accident 3 years ago. Maya's anger softened slightly. I'm sorry. Adrian's company was supposed to handle her wedding. We'd planned everything. The flowers, the music, the venue. And then, Marcus's voice broke. And then she was gone. And Adrian fired me before I could even process what had happened. Maya looked at Adrian. She saw pain flash across his face. Marcus, Adrian said quietly, you were embezzling money meant for charity events. Money that was supposed to help sick children. I was grieving. So was I. Adrian's voice cracked. Do you think firing you was easy? You were my friend. But I couldn't let you steal from dying kids. No matter how much pain you were in. Marcus's shoulders sagged. I know. God help me, I know. But I needed someone to blame. Someone to hate. It was easier than facing the truth. Which is that sometimes terrible things happen and there's no one to blame. No one to punish. Nothing to do but survive it. Maya felt tears burn her eyes. Marcus. I'm going to leave now, Marcus said. And I'm going to disappear. Find somewhere quiet to figure out how to live with what I've become. He turned to go, then stopped. For what it's worth, he said to Adrian. You were right to fire me. And she's right to love you. Then he was gone, walking out of the cathedral and out of their lives forever. Maya and Adrian stood in the sudden silence, watching Jessica and David kiss as their families cheered. Is it over? Maya whispered. It's over, Adrian confirmed. Good. Maya turned to face him fully. Because I have something to tell you. What? Maya took his hands. I love you. Not the boy you were, not the man you think you should be. I love you exactly as you are. Right now, in this moment. Adrian's eyes went bright. Maya, I love how you protected me even when it meant pushing me away. I love how you saved my mother before you saved yourself. I love that you still make shadow puppets on the wall when you think no one is looking. You've seen that. I've been watching you for weeks, Adrian Blackwood. And what I see is the same boy who read to me during thunderstorms. The same heart that was willing to sacrifice everything to protect people who couldn't protect themselves. Maya stepped closer. I love you, and I'm never letting you disappear again. Adrian cupped her face in his hands. I love you too. I've loved you since you were 10 years old and brave enough to share your cookies with the new kid. I've loved you through 16 years of searching. And I'll love you for the rest of my life. When he kissed her, Maya felt like she was coming home. Around them, the cathedral erupted in applause. Not for the bride and groom, but for the wedding planner and the CEO who'd found their way back to each other against all odds. You know, Maya said against Adrian's lips, we're probably going to get in trouble for making out in the middle of someone else's wedding. Adrian laughed. Let them complain. I've been waiting 16 years for this moment. Was it worth the wait? You're worth everything, Maya Sullivan. Everything. 6 months later, Maya woke up to the smell of coffee and the sound of rain against the windows. She found Adrian in the kitchen of their apartment, a real apartment with 2 bedrooms and a view of the park, making breakfast and humming under his breath. He wore a Harvard Business School t-shirt and pajama pants, and he'd never looked more beautiful. Good morning, she said, wrapping her arms around his waist from behind. Good morning, beautiful. Adrian leaned back into her embrace. Sleep well, like a baby. Maya pressed a kiss to his shoulder blade. What's all this? Adrian had set the table with her grandmother's china and fresh flowers. Orange juice in actual glasses. Pancakes shaped like hearts. Today's special, Adrian said. Why? What's today? Adrian turned in her arms, smiling. Today is the day your mother comes home. Maya's breath caught. After 6 months of treatment, dozens of chemotherapy sessions, and more hospital stays than either of them wanted to count, Catherine Sullivan was finally cancer-free. I can't believe it, Maya whispered. Believe it. Dr. Martinez called this morning. All her tests came back clear. She's officially in remission. Maya burst into tears. Adrian held her while she cried, happy tears this time, grateful tears. The kind of tears that came when you realized you got to keep something you'd almost lost. She's going to be okay. Maya sobbed into his chest. She's going to be more than okay. She's going to be here for our wedding, for our kids, for all of it. Maya pulled back to look at him. Our wedding. Adrian's cheeks went pink. I mean, if you want. I wasn't proposing, I was just. Maya silenced him with a kiss. Yes. Yes. Yes to all of it. The wedding. The kids. The whole beautiful messy future. Adrian's smile could have powered the city. Really? Really? Maya touched his face. Ask me properly sometime, and I'll say yes properly. I'll remember that. Maya's phone rang. Her mother. Maya? Sweetheart? Are you sitting down? Mom, Adrian told me. I'm so happy I can barely breathe. Oh, honey. That's wonderful. But that's not why I'm calling. Maya frowned. What's wrong? Nothing's wrong. Everything's right. I have news. About the business. 6 months ago, Maya and Adrian had left Blackwood Industries to start their own company. Morrison Events had been their first client. Richard Morrison had insisted on investing in their new venture. Since then, they'd planned 12 weddings, 8 corporate events, and had a waiting list that stretched into the next year. What about the business? Jessica Morrison called. She wants to hire you for something big. Maya put the phone on speaker so Adrian could hear. How big? Her friend is getting married. A senator's daughter. She specifically requested the team that gave her the most perfect wedding day of her life. Maya and Adrian exchanged looks. How big? Adrian asked. 500 guests. National media coverage. And Maya. Yes. The budget is unlimited. Maya sank into a chair. Mom. You did it, sweetheart. Both of you. You built something beautiful from all that pain. After they hung up, Maya and Adrian sat in their kitchen, watching the rain turn the world green outside their window. "We really did it," Maya said quietly. "We did. Your move first, the coffee spill. Do you think it was fate?" Adrian laughed. "I think it was the best accident of my life. Even though I ruined your shirt? Especially because you ruined my shirt." Adrian reached across the table to take her hand. "That shirt cost $800. But watching you panic and apologize and try to fix it, that was priceless. $800 for a shirt? I was an asshole. You were scared." "I was scared," Adrian agreed. "But not anymore." Maya squeezed his hand. "What changed?" You changed everything." Adrian brought her hand to his lips. "You taught me that home isn't a place. It's a person. It's choosing the same person every day, even when they spill coffee on you. Especially when they spill coffee on you. Especially then." They sat in comfortable silence, watching the storm pass over their city. Maya thought about everything that had led them here. The pain, the mistakes, the years of searching for something they'd lost. "Adrian, do you ever miss it? The old life, the corner office, the power, the fear?" Adrian considered the question. "Sometimes. But then I remember what it cost me. What it almost cost us. No regrets. Only one." "Which is?" Adrian smiled. "I should have ordered decaf that day. Then you never would have had anything hot enough to spill on me." Maya laughed. "Thank God for caffeine. Thank God for clumsy baristas. Thank God for second chances. Thank God for you." Outside, the rain was stopping. Maya could see sunlight beginning to break through the clouds, painting everything in gold. "Storm's over," she said. "And the sun came back," Adrian finished. "If you're still here, heart full and maybe a little teary, thank you. Thank you for spending these precious hours with Maya and Adrian, for believing in second chances and the kind of love that survives everything the world throws at it. Have you ever loved someone you had to let go? Have you ever discovered that the person you needed was right there all along, just wearing a different face? Have you ever learned that sometimes the worst thing that happens to you turns out to be the best thing in disguise? Tell me in the comments. I read every single one, and your stories, your real, beautiful, complicated stories, remind me why we tell these tales in the first place. If this found you at exactly the right moment, if Maya and Adrian's journey felt like coming home, subscribe. There are more stories waiting to be told. Stories about love that conquers fear, about finding family in unexpected places, about the way broken things can be mended into something even more beautiful. Sometimes we think we're too damaged to deserve happy endings. But the truth is, our scars don't disqualify us from love. They just make us more grateful when we find it. Take care of yours, beautiful souls. Until the next story, remember, storms don't last forever, but the sun always comes back.